So here we are at their image that stalled at this one point. It didn't open and flow right through. Perhaps we wanted it to do that, which would allow us to make some adjustments, make use of some of the presets. But generally, when we run a batch, we want it to run all the way through. So let's try and figure out what went wrong. If I press open right now, it'll simply apply the pre-existing settings and carry on. That would be something we'd refer to as an attended batch, meaning like it would stop strategically, we'd make some input, and then it would carry on. But our intention is actually to have a unattended batch, so it'll flow right through and allow itself to run without us having to babysit it, if you will. So now that it's done, it just gets things set up there. It's going to run through, do its saving. Then we're going to look at those stored files and how we can change that so that it actually runs completely unattended. Here's our image files. So you can see that it ran through there. We'll just trash those. And now you'll notice in our test folder that there's one extra file which is shown up. Because we did with that raw file, created an XMP file. If I run this folder in a batch again, that will trip it. The batch will run through, but that file will stop it from running right through to completion. And if I've got more than one of them, then it could interfere with the images that I want to get processed. So we'll just get rid of that one for now. We'll close that. Let's go back to Photoshop and look at our settings. So, File, Automate, Batch. This is our dialog that we had before. This is the one right here, Suppress File Open Options Dialogs. It stopped because it wanted some input when it was going to open that file. In this case, we're now going to suppress that, so it will run through and skip right through that process. Similarly, suppressing color profile, if I've got mismatched color profiles, it will just ignore that and not halt anything. Including subfolders, this is a handy one to have. I generally have that on, and all three of these set in the manner that you see here. This just allows you to include folders within folders, depending on how you got things structured. So now that we've got this set up, let's try that again. Opens our image, carries through. We already knew that this one worked fine. So now it's we're going to see how it appears to be working with the raw file that we had in there. And we can see in the background that our file is saving through, and look at that. This time it ran all the way through. Don't you hate it when you have the instructions and then you try to do it on your own and for some reason it doesn't work? Well, this time we actually built that into it. I'll leave it up to you whether to figure out whether I did that on purpose or not. Regardless of that, we showed you how to run and not run a batch. So you got different results. But what we've got happening right now is our batch running all the way through, performing the automated processes that are within the Craig's Actions workflows and saving them to our destination files. So you can see that we've got that here, both files within our three different destination folders. Now let's look at one more process. We're going to create a droplet out of what we've got here. So let's take these image files, delete them, and now go back into Photoshop, and we'll just hide our others. File, Automate, Create Droplet. The options through here look very similar to what we had before. We've got a process, we've got an action that we can choose from, a list of actions in terms of what we're going to select. We've got the dialogues here that we just made use of. We've got our save and close options that we're going to set again. This is one that appears a little bit differently. What we need to do here is decide where we're going to save this droplet. A droplet is like a recipe that we keep on file. So as the actions are individual recipes for how to work with your images, the droplets are now the recipe cards that you can keep somewhere, making use of them as you choose to. So for simplicity, let's save this on our desktop, and we were going to use our Beauty Flow Lifestyle. So it's our beauty bar, and we'll just call this Beauty Flow LS. We've got that there. It's going to save it on our desktop. We'll just click Save. Now, even though we've saved it, we haven't really finished this process here. It's one of the little goofy dialogues that Adobe throws at us. So we've got our process that we've selected from. We've got our destination we've saved the droplet in. We've got what's happening with our files. It's going to save and then close the file that we're working on because the save steps were encompassed within the workflows up here. This stays the same as we had before. Not a problem there. We saved our droplet onto the desktop. Now we need to actually click OK to create and save that. And you can see how that droplet has now appeared over here. The reason they call it a droplet is because we can take a folder of images, or we can take an individual image file, and we can simply take that and throw it on the droplet. It'll launch Photoshop and go into that production process, doing everything that we need done without actually even opening Photoshop. I haven't gone to Photoshop and done anything. It's carrying completely on its own. And you can see now that that folder of the print, PSD, and web contains those images that we just ran through. Let's toss that again, because the whole benefit to a droplet is that we can take a folder of images, and in this case we're working with just 2 images to test and make sure that it runs properly. Obviously we would make use of a whole lot more images within a photo session. Could be 100. We could even run these straight out of the camera folder as it's loaded onto our system without even doing any browsing. If you've clued into that already, now you see where you can start getting some real enhanced production capabilities going on, because the process and what's happening to this image that we already decided before is being run through automatically without our input. Doesn't matter whether this takes a few minutes or a few seconds per image, because guess what? I'm doing something else. This whole process has run without my direct involvement. It's set up, we know that it works, we tested it on our 2 image files, we have those here, all good, making use of our action processes. And within the action sets, we started off showing how you could use an individual action, such as what you have through here, any of the individual ones. Then we showed you how you could make use of the batch. Then we showed you how to make use of the droplet. So those are the 3 techniques that allow you to really enhance your automated production within Photoshop. So within the next tutorials, we'll show you how to take those options and integrate them into your workflow.